without any further ado, let's turn it over to Filip Luchianenco. I hope I got that
Yay.
right.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thank God. Um, Philip has an amazing and interesting profile, an engineer by training and profession, but also very entrepreneurial in terms of taking products, selling it on Amazon, crowdfunding, sourcing it. So we love the entrepreneurial spirit. And also, thank you, Philip, for your spirit to share this experience with others. So without any further ado, let me switch over to you and take it over, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shubha. I appreciate the intro. Yeah, that's why I'm here. I was actually sharing that with the group and a few other people, and they really loved the session of actually vibe coding together. And I found that, or they somehow found that very useful, specifically because as entrepreneurs, it feels like sometimes we just want to build something quickly to test a specific concept or to see if we can quickly solve a business problem. So that's what we're here to do, to see if we can solve some business problem of yours. I'm gonna drop a quick kind of just question there. As we go, please answer the question if you can, to see kind of to understand your vibe coding experience in chat, the level, and see kind of if you've heard of it or if you've tried or if you actually vibe code more often. So I know how to kind of adjust the event. Lovely. Thanks for your replies in there. And as everyone keeps joining, I can introduce you guys to some of the main things that we are gonna do here. So I know you guys came for the live coding session, and I actually spent more than 300 hours vibe coding, trying and pushing the limits of AI. There's always, I'm gonna start with a meme. So I'm no expert, right? But I've spent lots of times trying to push the limits and understand how do we get the best of AI and of these models, and what structure would work best. And specifically, some of the experiments that I've worked with have either worked well or some didn't. Like we're just like giving it a prompt and it does something, and then it's try and thinking for a while and creating light or whatever we ask it to. And one thing I've seen a lot, and I want to just make sure we're all aligned with that, lots of people describe this as a slot machine with gambling, so I think this was a good reference to that. It's like you spin the slots and then you might hit something or you might not hit anything, and yeah, but AI will always like support you and saying, yeah, great idea, yeah, that will work, sure. And that's something we're usually trying to avoid. So this is where I'm going with. The idea is like, how can we plan and make these things predictable? How can you use AI or vibe coding as a tool to enhance our capabilities and to be faster, stronger, and iterate much better? So how does that sound so far? Good, thumbs up.
Sounds good.
Lovely. All right. So I'll introduce you to my toolset. What I'm using is Klein. This is the extension. I'm going to drop the link for Klein in chat. So I'm using Klein because Klein is open source and it gives me the flexibility it's free, gives me the flexibility to choose my models. So as new models come in, I can experiment with them. In order to enable Klein to do everything I want, I use it mixed with OpenRouter. It can be connected to most services like directly with Gemini or OpenAI, but I chose OpenRouter because it has no limits. Basically, I pay per credits as it goes. It's a little bit more expensive sometimes, but I do not have limits. And sometimes I can choose a very cheap model for basic tasks that require lots of context, or I can choose a more kind of complex model when it comes to deeper thinking. And I use a few MCPs that are really I prefer them a lot for what they do a lot. The first MCP I use is Serena. And that one really helps browsing a larger code and like quickly go through files. So it always finds snippets of code, because context is key with AI. If context is full, AI will start hallucinating and it will start doing things that you're like, okay, how did you get even there, right? And the last tool I'm using is Firecrawl, but I'm using Firecrawl MCP. So that'll be Firecrawl MCP. So Firecrawl MCP helps me in the chat to ask AI in the chat during the planning session, to ask it about to look for things, for example, to look for the best solutions, and it will explore things and then talk to me back and forth to explore and find the right solutions. So far, does it make sense with the setup that I have? Lovely. All right, so what we have next is really just, I want to think, the way I found to be working the best for myself is really to think first as a visionary, second is as a product owner, and then turning into a tech architect, and then turning into a designer, and then turning that actually into coding. So I'm trying to replicate what we actually do in real life, mostly because if I jump straight into coding, most of the time it will be, I will get, I'd say, unexpected results. So I want consistency from AI to help me build systems. And I'd love to actually get some ideas from what you guys are working on. Could you please just share either a business problem that you have or a POC that you had in mind in something like 6 words, ideally, or something short that describes a problem so we can like hopefully fix that problem as we go. I'll pick one of the ideas from the room if I believe we can actually execute it in 40 minutes. I want to build an app to randomly choose a dinner and lunch from a list to help with meal planning. Lovely. That's a great idea. Choose a dinner and lunch from a list. Specifically a place, Ellie, or is it about the meals focused or place focused?
It's about the meals. It's just I have 2 kids and I have to cook them dinner, and if I make them the same thing too often and I'm just sick of having to try to remember what we didn't eat recently. Oh, we haven't had salmon for a while. Oh, whoops, we made chicken 2 days ago. I would rather have an app
Lovely.
be like, make this, make chicken.
Great. I think that's something you can easily build. And I have a baby too. He's 8 months old now, and I totally feel you. There's always like continuous thinking of what else do we have him to try. From Sidebar, that's probably Shuba. Summarize all my day's calls. Yes, you have a lot of them. And send me an email with action items. I want to add those to the CRM. All of my day's calls. And you have lots of calls. Do you record them somehow by chance? Yes, Zoom transcript. Oh, text. Text is easy to work with. Yes. Great that it's not a video. All right. Any other ideas in the room? Analyze the presentation. I love that. That surely would help me review my own presentations. All right, I'll try to maybe explore one of the ideas, and I think Ellie's or the sidebar suggestion there with this summary. So both of them are fairly actionables. Kind of the main idea is how can we get to a proof of concept that helps, and I think like Ellie's idea seems to be fairly doable within 30 minutes, but we can explore. So what we have here, I have a base project set up here. Just to kind of get us started. It took me about 30 minutes just to make sure we have the base integrations done. There are 2 integrations that I have added is Firecrawl and OpenRouter. So it's really just Firecrawl. I was talking first about MCP. That's when I actually do the prompt and everything. But here it's actually integrated in the custom Python app. And then OpenRouter is the same thing, integrating the custom Python app. What this allows me to do is build AI-based systems right away. So this base project already has AI and ability to search online. So with that, I can literally just write a small script that searches online, finds the information, sends it to AI, gives me good recommendations like a meal, right? So as an example, for for the test integration, I was trying to test it with LinkedIn executives, but it didn't work fully, and try to vibe code that one. Anyways, let's start with planning. So Ellie, could you please expand a bit more on your idea on what that would look like from a visionary perspective?
Sure, I'll come on video just for fun.
Lovely.
So my kids are picky eaters. They're 4 and 7 years old, and I have to provide them with dinner. And there's like maybe 10 or 15 dishes that they know how to eat. These dishes are not very sophisticated. They're things like chicken nuggets, spaghetti with meatballs, um, like a list of things. So I'm not looking for new recipe ideas most of the time. Like most of the time, we just make the same 15 things on kind of a rotating schedule. But sometimes they don't want the thing that I'm going to make them. So my previous solution, which was just to make a spreadsheet of 3 weeks of repeating dinners, doesn't really work for them because they'll go, "Oh, it's chicken tonight. I want pasta." Amazing. Yes, I think all of our kids are on the same diet. My mom only made 4 different dishes, so I don't feel like I'm totally doing the wrong thing. Um, but anyway, I want to have something where it keeps track of, it always suggests something to make, and then it also keep tracks of what we actually made. So like, let's say if it was chicken night, my kids are like, I don't want chicken, I want spaghetti. And then we make spaghetti, then it won't suggest spaghetti tomorrow. And that's why my kind of Excel spreadsheet of we have 3 weeks of meals and we just go through that doesn't really work. So what I sort of imagine is that there's some sort of, I want to call it a database, but it could be a spreadsheet or a CSV file where I put in all of the different meals that my children are willing to eat. And then it suggests a meal today for dinner. And then I can record what we actually ate. And most of the time, it's not going to be free text entry. It's going to be like choosing from one of these 15 options. We had spaghetti instead of chicken. Um, and then maybe in the future it's a little bit more sophisticated, like if it's chicken night and I like the suggestion of chicken, I can press on it and it'll show me the shopping list for that, and so then I can go and put those things in Instacart. My dream would be that there's an API so I can press send to Instacart, and then it does that, and then I press checkout and the food arrives. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
I've thought of hiring somebody for this, but I'm like, this is perfect for AI and I want to get more into kind of coding it myself. But again, it doesn't need to be very sophisticated. I think that's pretty much all it would need to do. You could also imagine that there's lunches that are this way. My children's school doesn't provide a lunch, so I have to send a lunch box. And we have a lot of disagreements about lunch boxes. What do we want to have today? What are we sick of? No, you gave me peanut butter yesterday. I don't want tortellini today. Different stuff like that. But I think we could start with dinner, and that would already be a great place to start with. And I agree with you. It's very simple, and I feel like I should have built it already. But yeah, it's not a business idea, but it's more of a,
No, it's lovely. It's
the
spot on.
mental load of dinner. There's also a really funny website of like it's kind of not very good language, but it's been around for 20 years, called like what should I make for dinner? And it gives you a random website, but I think this has to be like my kids will only eat 15 things. So it's all about that like database.
I think that's a great idea.
Things.
Something we can action upon. Thanks for sharing. Let's try to work with that. So there's 2 modes we have in Klein, and this is something I've seen in some other products as well. It's the planning and acting. And I love the planning because it will gather information and it will help me architect a plan. This is crucial so that I don't just give it a prompt and hope for the best results. I actually plan it very well. And then the output of the planning session, I usually like it to be a markdown file. And you can see here the tasks, for example. I have here the tasks that I've built the original base. It creates its own tasks, and then in another session, I execute them. This really helps keep the context and things very actionable. So that's the first thing that worked really well for me. So now I'm just going to be, but because we are limited on time, well, I'm going to skip the business developer stage, the product person stage. I'm going to jump straight into the architect stages, like let's just build a proof of concepts. So I'm going to say act as a software architect, senior. And then I'm just going to paste in here and to build a POC, goal step is to find good basic recipes and store somewhere easily. Somewhere, for example, we can now store everything in a markdown file just for the ease of use, but it also does later on, if we have time, we can integrate that directly into Notion. So then that'll be a great step up for your user experience in how you do it. Store somewhere, store in Markdown. And I think that would be good for now. Let's see what store in basic recipes, store in Markdown. Outcome. This session is in MD file, this project overview, and a few tasks. All right. So I'm using Claude Sonnet 4 for the planning. It is a more expensive model. I'm not using it as much for executing because then very quickly some tasks just start costing like $10 per task, and it just adds up very quickly. It tries to look through the files that I have, of course, and then yes, do you want to build? Yes, I want to integrate, and that's the most important part. Yes, use current integrations. I want it to be AI based. And use fire. So here's the thing, Ellie, here's something for you to decide on. Do you want fresh recipes every time, or do you want us to have a hard-coded list of recipes?
I think there should be a hard-coded list, but it should be editable. Like if I teach my kids to like a new food, then I should be able to add it to the list, but that don't ask me every time to recite the list of the 10 things that they'll eat.
Philip, you there?
Yes. Yes, I'm still here.
All right, cool.
I was writing the prompt.
Okay.
Yes. And then, so I ask it to search for recipes using Firecrawl during the dev time and store them, and then use AI to recommend recipes every day based on what we had the previous days. And then, do you have any dietary restrictions? I will assume no for now, for the sake of this exercise. All right, so that's the part I really like the most. We architect, we plan, we look through everything. Let's see how it goes and what the plan is. AI-driven meal planning system uses Firecrawl to automate, discover, and collect simple kid-friendly recipes to recipe structure markdown. Use OpenRouter to intelligently suggest daily meals based on rotation history. I love it. And if we use Gemini, huge context window tracks meals to avoid repetition, ensure variety. Great. So use Firecrawl to search for kids-friendly. Yes, that's the recipe discovery engine. I love it. Create structured markdown for each recipe, include ingredients, simple instructions, prep time, kids-friendliness, rating. I like it. Store and organize directory structure. JSON-based meal history storage. Track what was served when. Maintain rotation. AI recommendation engine. Use open-to-analyze meal history. That's important. Generate daily suggestions. And this might seem like redundant, but I am reading this plan all the time just to make sure it actually will execute, so we don't get random ideas. If we are not specific to AI, it gets creative, and it gets I'd say creative in a bad way. Does not really produce the outcome I'd expect. Consider factors like prep time, ingredients on hand. Lovely. User interface, simple CLI, or actually for UI, we can try later. Let's start with UI. I'd say build to markings as served. I think that's pretty good. CLI would be best. Yeah, almost crawling for new recipes. Spaghetti marinara, chicken nuggets. I love it. That's it. That's your recipes right there. And we have meal planner and data meal planner task. Great. So does this architecture work? I like what I'm hearing so far. And should I proceed to implement the recipe collection? Yes, only write the main task and describe subtasks that would take 2 to 4 hours each. So it's important to limit because I want to make sure it limits how big the subtasks are. Otherwise, we'll have one big task and it will do all at once and it will be terrible and it will not test it step by step. So we want checkpoints, like a junior developer, basically managing. So I am acting as a technical project manager in this case. Outcome and just making sure is the files only, no. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna switch from plan to act here, and it will start executing on this. And it uses Claude 3.7 when it does that. And that's important. It's a lot faster, a little bit cheaper, especially for executing, but I'm using the expensive model for thinking, and then a slightly cheaper model for, I think it's even 3 times cheaper. It's significantly cheaper. All right, so we have the main task here. AI powered kids meal planner project overview with structure, sounds great. Recipes format, that looks pretty good. It's gonna be the subtask 1 recipe collection system. Great. I like that it's starting to break it down into the recipes and estimated how much time each would take with some sample prompts. We'll review those in a minute because I can't browse files while it does this work. How does that sound so far, Ellie?
Sounds pretty good. I guess the thing that I was curious about is the problem with my kids is that they only eat 10 things. So if it finds new things, like that's I don't want to say it. It found a lot of things that my kids eat, but I think sort of how would it maintain the database of the 10 approved things? Because I don't want it to be suggesting new things that they don't eat. That just won't work. Or to put it a different way, there's like other tools that can do that. Like
I could see
maybe
that.
there's a mode where it has new ideas, but it also pulls them from existing ideas as well. Because I like the idea that there's like, if there's a food that my kids like to eat, that I can add it to a list and then remember it. Like, oh, maybe we go to a restaurant and we learn that they like pesto. Okay, great. Now we can have things with pesto.
That's great input. I love it. I'll take a note now to make found recipes selectable favorite. So the first step would be for it to search and find recipes, and the second step would be then, and after it's done with that step, it doesn't instantly use them. So it will be up to you to decide which one stay and which one actually go. So this way it can search and explore, and then you hopefully can have favorite ones. I'll leave this for the next task. Okay. So here's where I just don't like when it does these things. Spaghetti marinara. So it already started. So sometimes it just goes a little bit too far. I don't want it to go too far. We're already like it would use lots of context of the context window. We want to go kind of step by step. So really the first step, second, and we have a recommendation engine. Okay, so this is the recommendation engine for the meal planner. And it will really get meal recommendation for a specific date. Great. Based on what we've had so far. Implement functions, use OpenRoute to generate AI recommendations. That's great. Create a prompt. Okay, so it's still looking for recipes at this stage. And indeed, it doesn't have a meal finder in the system, which is as expected. Meal recommender class with OpenRoute. Yes. So that's why it started looking and building these marinara, spaghetti, and others ahead of time. And basically hard coding them. 20 minutes preparation time. Okay, we'll continue then. I have the auto approve sometimes enabled or disabled based on what it does to see if I want to actually control step by step or not. Let's see if it takes a few more tries to kind of have more recipes. Okay, so it thinks this is enough. It thinks three recipes is enough. But what we'd have to do is I would normally ask it to use Firecrawl, but since we're tight on time, to kind of add more recipes. So it can, this chat specifically can still add more recipes. We actually have Notion integration ready. We could store it in Notion right away. but I'd say that would be enough just for the sake of this experiment. And very importantly, I love to kind of store these tasks one at a time. So subtasks, so that'd be AI recommendation, and then we have meal history. Okay, so subtasks CLI, great. I want to overview the tasks it has collected. And we have a detailed main project structure with complete architecture, and that's important to have that. Normally, I would just go line by line, check the whole thing in the architecture. And this is important overview to understand how it is proposing it. I don't fully agree with some of the things it has decided to do here, but since we're a little bit tight on time, I want to make sure hopefully we get to something actionable by end of this call. Technical specifications and data model, integrations with existing AI infrastructure. I love that it's leveraging as much AI as possible, and that the fact that we have Firecrawl and OpenRouter already integrated, that should help us. The detailed subtask breakdown with collection system. So there is a collection, subtask collection system, but it's not here. Yeah, and the collection system is not here. It says it's there.
Just for everyone's understanding, can you clarify what is a collection system, Filip?
Yeah, so the collection system is in this case, what it was supposed to be is a way to collect the recipes. So it wasn't fully ready to do so. It just missed the task. So now I'm just gonna remove these to keep it simpler for our AI to not get confused which tasks are for what. Okay,
So Andy has a couple of questions. I was wondering if it's normal behavior that it's crawling for new recipes and providing the appropriate provided list of recipes. Is that normal behavior, Filip?
If I understand your question right, you're asking if it's okay for it to already start crawling during the planning session. It's mostly because
Ellie, yeah. Ellie, please correct if it's different. But yeah, that's correct, Filip, for now.
Yeah. I think it really depends on how we are planning it. So Ellie, you were saying you'd prefer hard-coded meals at first. So if we had an engine that does this kind of live, I would have a recipe collection system that runs separately, and then you pick on those. So it has now, it still has, I'm happy it actually came up with a collection system so that we can have AI crawl and use. So this is going to be a great example of using Firecrawl, and you can see how it does use Firecrawl, and then it also should end up using OpenRouter. Yes. And then it uses OpenRouter to analyze what it found, and then it actually creates those recipes as a result. So it's a great way to actually separate. And this is basically going to be already doing the core of it, of actually gathering for you 15 recipes or however many you need. You know, what was that meme? 6 recipes to cook an octopus. Anyone seen that?
No.
No. Okay, it's from this show. Anyways, so this would be multiple recipes to collect to kind of collect those for your kids. So I kind of would like to move on if that sounds good with you, Ellie.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So there's 2 ways I like using command line. You can actually ask AI to, and for the sake of this exercise, save and commit the changes. I'm going to ask AI to save and commit the changes in terminal. Great. So it's important, otherwise AI can mess up lots of things. Yeah, it does a little bit too many things.
So while this is happening, Filip, we have a quick other question. How do you think about token usage for this? Like, would you know how much is being used for this specific exercise, and what are some guardrails you have? Leo, if you want to add something to the question, please do.
No, I think you rephrased it perfectly.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So it's
'Cause,
right
I mean,
here at the top.
like Ellie also has to decide, you know, is this a $10 experiment? Is this a $500 experiment? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So if we used Claude, let's say Gemini 2.5 Pro model, it would have costed us probably 5 times less. So far we spent almost $1 planning and writing the tasks.
And is that based on where at the top where it says task tokens 1.1 mil?
Exactly. Actually, so this is the cache, the tokens, but that's the prompt, and then you have the cache as well. When we get to a cache level of like 1 million tokens, ideally you want to switch to the next task. Like even over 250K, you're already at the limit, and just move on. Try to have smaller tasks. Significantly better results with smaller tasks. That's why I hope breaking it down would help. Okay, I like it. It has committed to Git. And if you don't otherwise, add the AI-powered kids meal planner project notation sample recipes. Great. So now I'll close this and I'll take a new session. I'll go through the planning again to make sure we have it right. And then I'm going to choose which one I want. So AI, so it's going to subtask. I want subtask CLI. I'm looking for this subtask focus on implementing air conditioning using open router. So I want to build the recipe collector first. Tasks, hold on. So that's the goal. It has done all the work so far to plan everything. It has had lots of context, but now it only is looking at the main recipe, pulling in some of the data, seeing what's available, and then hopefully it will start planning. Yes, please keep the questions coming as the AI is vibe coding. Feel free to ask me questions. All right, so an overview of what's happening here. The Firecrawl is already there with scraping capabilities. Open Router is there. Implementation plan. Recipe collector, search strategy, AI-powered recipe. Okay, so here's where it's like going way beyond, and that's why it's great to do the planning. So it's a only execute the recipe and what file crawl AI to. So otherwise, if we were not in this planning session, it would have started writing like the full code base all in one go, and that never yields good results. Okay, I'll focus specifically on recipe collection implementation using this. That sounds great. Doesn't take 2-3 hours. That's the good part. Recipe collection, AI-powered recipe, direct file output to data recipes sounds great. Predefined search queries for each category, filter to trusted recipes. Perfect. Focus on simple, kids-friendly, AI processing, single open router call per recipe to extract data structure. That sounds great. Build kids-friendly rating 1 to 5. This was extra. I didn't ask it for that, but we'll keep it. Consistent with existing recipe, ready to use recipe. Great. 10-15 recipes. Perfect. Okay. Let's go. How does it look so far?
Probably want it. Can you send it to me after this session? I'll give you my email.
For sure, for sure.
Amazing.
So I like Python for its simplicity, and there are also, I'd say, something I'd really recommend people to look into is MCPs. So now we're gonna use Python to kind of do what you want, but there's like AI directly can communicate with, let's say, Notion through MCP, and it can do file calling and other things. So you might as well just be able to automate most of the things in the chat, but having a storage as Notion, for example. And I've used that before. Thank you, Shubha. This is great, yes. MCP by Anthropic. It has been implemented by Microsoft, Google, Amazon. All major companies are actually building integration to support it. Soon will be available even in Windows by default at the system level. MCPs are like a good standard now. All right, so it's trying to execute as well. Let's see what it does. So searching for chicken recipe, simple chicken nugget recipe for kids. Firecrawl is searching for sources. Let's see how that goes. Extracting recipe from Yummy toddler food. That's pretty good. Chicken nuggets with sweet potato. How does that sound?
One of them will eat it.
Sorry?
One of my kids will eat it.
Yeah, one of them at least. That's a success rate.
That's pretty good.
One out of 3, yeah. Yeah. So, and here's the important part in the configuration. We have Gemini that uses Gemini 2.5 Pro, super cheap, super big context window, very good for processing large data sets. It's in my environment configurations right here. I default to this one. All right, so it looks like it failed to parse something from there, searching for chicken recipes, Egypt for picky eaters. Let's see how it goes with this one. Also Yamlet toddlers. It looks like it liked this website. We can add, yes, Ellie, I'm trying to leverage the models. Basically, the way I would try to use it is use the cheapest model that would fully satisfy my needs for the task. So Claude 4.0 is great for planning, but almost unnecessary or overkill for actual code writing if I'd pay for credits like that. So this task so far is 50 cents. So we're getting there. Found 0 filter results for chicken. Get it. Found 4 sources for query, 2 filter results for chicken, extracting recipes. So trying to generate the models. Let's see. Did it sample integrations? No. Images. Data recipes. Baked salmon. There you go. The first one is baked salmon. Pretty good, yeah. 4 salmon fillets, lemon slices, served with lemon slices if desired. Sounds pretty good. Does it have rice in here? Is it just did it just do baked salmon? That's it? Rice? Oh, serve with simple side like rice. Okay. Okay. Would be great to be included. So there's lots to improve in these recipes, Ellie, for now. But I think that's a good start. Chicken nuggets, preparation, and spaghetti marinara. Let's see if it's trying to find more of them. But I'd say the beauty here is it literally took us 5 minutes from actually writing after we have the architecture set and the tasks clear. It took us literally just a few minutes to run this recipe collection script. And it's a long script. It does all these things. And the best part is with the right integrations, like Firecrawl and OpenRouter together, integrated in the base project, it already is an AI-based meal planner for you. And it's mostly like 70% done. There's lots of room for improvement and optimization, make it cheaper, whatever you want in future. But sometimes for POCs, all you want is, does this even work? Is this useful for myself or for my friends? Yeah. So let's see if there's more. So found 1 filter result for pasta. It's a little bit slow on this one. I'll stop it here with 3 recipes. Does that sound good? Just so we don't wait for it to go through.
Sounds good.
Yeah. It certainly should kind of understand and check why is it like taking so long to move on. But this was a great step. So I'm gonna just cancel this task. I don't need AI to because we've tested, we know it works. Add recipe collection. Okay, so task 1 is done. There you go. Next up, again into a planning session. We're just gonna choose which task do we work on next. So we have gathered the meals, and the collection subtask recommendations. So meal history. We're not gonna do history yet. Like not. Actually, meal history is not a bad idea. We already have the meals. And it has the CLI meal planner. We can get the CLI then only after all the components are already done. So recipe collection, recipe storage. So honestly, the recipe storage is done. All we need is, honestly, meal history. If it does JSON files, that's okay. Date and rating. So you can rate the meal. Okay. That would be sweet. So let's see it go through, and hopefully it finds our already existing recipe collection script. Okay, it's going to the recipes to see what we got. This is great. Chicken nuggets as an example. I've reviewed the project structure. Storage is already implemented. 3 sample recipes. Meal history subtask is next. No meal planner directory exists yet. Meal planner directory with data model similar to this. Later on, the interface can be something else. Record meal, update meal. Okay, that's a good start, where we basically would have the CLI interface. That would be very useful for the first stage. Sounds good. Yeah. Depends on the recipe storage feature in the history will feed into AI recommendations. CLI. Okay.
Philip, you want to call out what you're thinking and
Yes, sometimes thanks. Thanks so much. I've been coding by myself too much in my life. I'd say let's just move on. Yes, move on. Let it just execute. I was trying to see if we can get the CLI interface first, but I think that's too much to ask for one task. So
you seem to spend some time on the dependencies and integration points, reading through that. What were you looking for? I was curious.
I'm trying to make sure the system works first. And this is something the way I would build it by myself. Like, I've been writing code for more than 12 years, and a way to kind of break it down is make it more iterative and more testable parts. So even fun companies like Facebook, Google, they merge things into production more often without them actually being active. And this is something we want to apply here. Usually, at least I like applying here as well. Having these things work in isolation first, and then working on the orchestrator or the main software that actually handles all of them. So this, I believe, would help us get much better results with this recommendation engine. If we ask it to do it all at once, it will really fail in so many places, and the debugging process will be slow. Here, we already have the meals generated using the first script. Great. Let's test the history, see how it works. Oh, did it just work, or was it just me? Meals for the last 7 days. Let's see. Okay, test meal history. Recording meals, current meals, updating meal rating. And that's pretty good. It already removed the test file. Funny. I like it that it writes tests, but then it decides to remove them. Depends on the use case, not always preferable. So meal history.
This part that you're doing, Philip, is probably, I think personally for me, one of the most important things vibe coding, because you're debugging it, iterating, and actually trying to make it better. What are you looking for when you're doing this? To your point, breaking it down one by one, things should work independently, then the orchestration totally makes sense. What else are you looking for as you're looking at this?
It's a great question. I'd say looking for realistic integrations and realistic steps and execution. Very often it would say it did something, it did not actually do that. Or it would say, oh yes, I've integrated this API service that you asked me to. But then when I look into it, it actually uses mock data and mock response instead of actual integration. I'm like, wait, like that's not real. So we want to make sure that we actually read through the code. Now we're in a very fast session, but I am usually taking my time to read through this script and see what it does. And I like to ask it to actually do a more test-driven almost development, where it writes a little bit of code and writes some tests executes, make sure the tests are good. On one of my projects that it took me a weekend to vibe code, instead of like before, it would have taken me at least 2 months to build. And on that project, I had probably over 250 tests. And every time I asked for a new feature, there were lots of tests breaking and it would fix them. It was a finance related product to give certain recommendations. It was very sensitive. And I'd say it did a fabulous job at maintaining those tests. So what's here? So we have main meal planner, AI powered kids meal planner, view menu history. Okay, we got a history here. That's pretty good. Record today's meal, get meals recommendations, view recipes. I think we got an interface. I think we got something out. More
Can't
planning
wait to see it. This is so different than using V0 when you just start with like a UI. Like we
Yeah.
haven't seen any UI the whole time. So interesting.
That's great. That really helps because as soon as we focus on UI, it's gonna start debugging, centering the buttons, and that will take us a long time. And definitely can't fit that in an hour. But normally, only after the scripts work, we know the functions work, everything in CLI works, then we can move to UI and make it beautiful. And we have a way to quickly test it. So let's see. Record today's meal. Enter recipe number. What did you eat today, Ellie?
I have no idea what I'm gonna make for my kids tonight. This is the problem.
So which
We
one
had
are you choosing from here?
yesterday we had tacos.
Just choose one from here. You have baked salmon, chicken, and spaghetti.
Okay, let's go with chicken because we had chicken earlier in the week. So let's say it was
Okay.
chicken.
Was it a dry chicken? Was it well cooked?
Earlier in the week, it had two different types of fresh herbs on it,
Okay.
which one of
So
my
it
children
was
wanted
good.
me to scrape off.
So you did give it a rating 1 to 5, 5 being highest?
I would go with 5.
5, nice. Successfully recorded. Okay, great. So view meal
I like
history,
that.
and let's see. We have chicken nuggets recorded for today with the rating 5. Great. So let's see what else it would recommend. Get meal recommendation number 3. Recommended meals. See how chicken nuggets is at the bottom because last served 0 days ago. Beautiful. Salmon is at the top with last served 9 days ago. Lovely. This is great. I am very happy with the outcome.
Awesome.
This is CLI. I'd say 30 minutes for this work is, I'd say, fabulous.
Wow. That's so cool.
How happy are you with
Thank
this
you.
outcome, though?
I'm pretty happy. I guess it runs on a CLI, so I'd probably go beyond that.
Yeah.
Although it's been a while since I ran a Linux command or a slash command, but I guess I could do that.
This is literally one step away from it becoming a web app.
Amazing.
Yes, and I think it would take literally 10 minutes to actually add UI. And let me try something and commit. I
Wow.
would say add history.
Ellie, are you really going to cook this tonight? Are you really going to try this?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
So
Sure. I can
it's
report
Sunday.
back.
Okay.
If I get this app, maybe I can try it and
Yeah.
report back tomorrow if they ate it or not.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So it looks like it's
That's
a
So
very
here's
cool.
something I'd like to share is a list of MCP servers. There's a button over here, sometimes hard to see. Actually, it's available at the top here as well, with marketplace available ones and installed. So the ones I've activated is also Shad CN UI. So what this does is actually can build UI and a web UI using client directly because it knows how to build those. So I haven't tried it fully yet, but this thing can build dashboards. So if we have now the CLI, all I do is ask it to use that MCP based on that knowledge and to build a quick dashboard. And I feel like this would be fairly easy to achieve.
Very cool. Wow.
Ellie, I'm so happy we're able
Hi.
to actually get something working.
Amazing.
And time flies when you're having
Thank
fun.
you.
We're like 7 minutes from close. So let's open the floor for more questions, please.
Yes, I was hoping to get a few minutes for questions at the end.
One of the questions here was, how many models are you using, Philip? You seem to be going in and out of a few. So just curious.
depends on what the goal is. So for example, a few things I'd recommend. Gemini 2.5 Pro is great for large context when you have to parse lots of pages, lots of information, cheap and very fast. So very cheap and fast, that actually works for trying out some models. For Claude are actually the Anthropic models are, I've tried them all and they are the best in the industry. Where I don't think I've seen any other model code as well as Claude. Claude 4 for planning and thinking, Claude 3.7 for actual coding, but if your budget allows, use Claude 4. At times, I remember there was a week when just like my credits kept going, and I think I spent at least a few $100s in a few days on credits, just because I wanted to push the limits for that finance app because it was useful to me, but it's not always worth it. So really depends on what's worth it for you. OpenAI, I've tried some. They unfortunately they haven't worked as well. With Gemini for coding, going back to Gemini is great for processing, but for coding, unfortunately, the Pro one always leaves tasks for me. So I ask it to complete certain things, like I give it a subtask like I just did. And throughout the code base, it will literally just write a function name and leave a to-do there for me. And I'm like, do I have to just chase you to finish those for me? All the time. So with Claude, it never happened. It always completes every function.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Also, another question. What is your perspective of the ICP, like the ideal customer profile, for the kind of like vibe coding experience that you actually showed? And I understand there are many different types of experience, but I always am surprised by how in and out it goes out of, very engineering and coding like, and how some are more prompt based with like UI first experiences. When I see something like this, it really speaks to the engineer in me, but I do imagine that we probably have a much more diverse kind of like base of folks. What's your kind of like take on where vibe coding is and where is it going in general?
I do use at my full-time job, I do use AI support a lot, and I'm leading one of the movements in the company for actually exploring and pushing the limits and seeing how can it become more productive. I do still treat it as a tool, a very useful tool. I believe from my experience, from what I've seen, I would not recommend junior devs to use AI mostly, or junior even some mid devs, because the output is significantly worse. So I'd say if used wrong, it actually degrades significantly the work. And there's lots and lots of stories and memes online about, keys being exposed or databases, and it's a dangerous tool. It really is important to use it correctly. Otherwise, I feel like you're just doing a worse job and not growing. And one thing I feel a lot when I let it to do too much, I feel like it's stealing my, it's stealing almost my soul, because I feel like I don't own it when I commit it sometimes. So I like actually doing some things myself, and I feel a lot better that way. But for POCs, for quick concepts, for mapping enterprise data where we have hundreds of fields here and there, and we just need to map it from old data to new data, that's repetitive work. AI can do a fabulous job at those things. In complex systems, it struggles a lot. That's what everyone complains. So there's still a lot more to go, but I feel like the direction is, if used correctly, it will do exceptionally well. If used wrong, I'd say it will significantly worsen the outcome and not do anyone any good.
Yeah, makes sense. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, if there are no more questions from the audience, oops, I'm actually sharing something that it's going in a different location. Do you see the feedback QR code? Philip, can you see it?
Yeah, let me scan it.
Well, we are at the last minute of this, and I want to make sure that you all get at least 30 seconds before your next meeting to get like a bio break and whatever, but we value your feedback. So please do offer feedback here. Take a moment and please offer this. If this takes more than 30 seconds, we're not doing our job right. So please do offer it. I would love to see everybody here offer feedback. Lastly, Filip, cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Every time I feel like either I experience a new tool or, a new experience or a new vibe in terms of like how vibe coding is done. So you really took a live project and made it come to life. So thank you so much. I'm sure many parents in this room with picky kids will appreciate this, the effectiveness of this. So thank you very much,
Yeah.
Filip.
Thank you for being here. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate everyone's support. And Ellie, please reach out to me on Mystics, and I'll share with you the source code.
Wow, thank you. I can't wait.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. Was great sharing this, and I hope it's useful, and hopefully it helps some of you to move from an idea to a proof of concept.